It's my intention to run again. And we have time to make that decision.
Dr. Biden is for it. Mr. President. Oh.
Dr. Biden thinks that, my wife thinks that we're doing something very important and that I shouldn't walk away from it.
That was President Biden appearing to zone out during an interview this week, raising renewed questions regarding his cognitive abilities. It comes as Republicans have momentum on their side. Heading into the midterms, the latest Fox News power rankings show Republicans capturing 232 seats in the House, more than enough to secure the majority. Joining me right now is New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. She sits on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congresswoman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. What is your reaction to Joe Biden in that interview, also saying that he intends to run again, and the impact of this?
Well, this is really sad, but he reminds me of a Madame Tussauds wax figure. He comes out and they turn him on and he delivers talking points that are presented to him by his shadow government, the staff behind him. And he's really showing that he's not competent to do this most important job in our nation. And I've joined on a letter with Congressman Ronnie Jackson about making him subject to a cognitive test. You know, this is serious stuff. We've got enemies around the world. You've been interviewing tremendous people about China, about what's happening in the war in Europe, which is unprecedented. We've got to start looking into whether Joe Biden is actually capable of being the president. I think he's not. I think we should consider all of these avenues.
So would the 25th Amendment, would impeachment be on the table then in the new Congress? Because it's not just the corruption that we talk about all the time, but now there are national security issues surrounding the possibility that he's unfit.
Yeah, actually, Maria, I agree with Senator Ron Johnson. I mean, we've got an issue with this president. The corruption is one. We're looking at a direct dereliction of duty on the southern border. We have laws in place that are deliberately, for political reasons, being avoided, which is why I don't think impeachment should be off the table for the southern border alone. I don't think it's political to impeach someone for imperiling the American people when you see over 80 people on the terror watch list going into the country that we know of. Forget about the gotaways, which are over 600,000 now, and the fentanyl that is coming across the border and killing 300 young people a day. These are crimes against America, not to mention the fact that the taxpayers are paying for all of this, and we're paying the price with increased crime added to states like New York, where I'm from, where you see this continued crisis with crime everywhere I go, whether I'm doing a small business visit, a farm visit, all I hear about is a crime story. We have crime stories developing everywhere. This cashless bail system that Kathy Hochul refuses to talk about in New York State. We had a tragedy. A man was let out on bail. The next day, he shot and killed his wife in front of her children in a district near me. So these are real issues. And then, I mean, honestly, as my son is a Marine, I look at what happened in Afghanistan, the complete lack of necessity for what was happened, the just botched pullout of Afghanistan without keeping our service members in place. He's commander-in-chief. He's completely incapable of doing these jobs. I don't think impeachment would be, political in this case. I think the American people are seeing it before their TV sets every single day that this man is not only corrupt, he's incompetent, and his family has been enriching themselves at the expense of the taxpayers for decades, and yet our legacy media, not people like you who do a fabulous job of pointing this out, are ignoring this. They're covering it up because they don't want this narrative out in this very, very important midterm election that we're facing.
It's very disturbing, and I think it is a dereliction of duty. Certainly when you look at the wide open border and this poisoning of Americans, and New Yorkers are feeling it. That's why we're seeing the polls in New York tighten for the governor's race. Look at Lee Zeldin closing in on Kathy Hochul, who has said she doesn't want to talk about cashless bail until after the election. What's most important, do you think, to the voters in New York right now? Because you're right about crime in New York City, and I guess it's being felt everywhere with some people connecting the dots to the gotaways and the illegal migrants coming in as well.
Well, as you've covered many times on this show, we've seen these late-night flights coming into New York State. We don't know where these people are going. We've got this beautiful sanctuary area in New York City that they're providing, and with a fortune in taxpayer money. But yet, cashless bail has affected the entire state. This is a problem that the police are having with defund, demoralize the police, on top of the fact that they have no tools. The criminals are being emboldened. They get a little more courageous in committing more and more crimes because they're let out. We have no tools. And that's why you see Lee Zeldin surging in the polls. And we also have, interestingly enough, Michael Henry, who is challenging Letitia James, who I think is one of the most corrupt attorney generals we've had. Compare that to our past attorney generals, Eric Schneiderman, who left in disgrace, Eliot Spitzer, Andrew Cuomo. So you're seeing this tremendous surge with people recognizing one-party rule in Albany is hurting our state, and it's putting New Yorkers in jeopardy. I hear about it every day. It's inflation, it's the price of gas, and it's crime. People are very, very concerned about their safety.
All of this as China is rising. Congresswoman, we'll be watching all of that. Thanks very much. Claudia Tenney this morning in New York.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.